A single mom rises above relentless judgment from her wealthy neighbors, only to find them begging for her help when their perfect lives fall apart. What would you do if the tables turned? Erica tightened her grip on the steering wheel, her fingers brushing the cracked faux leather as she pulled into the driveway of her new home. It wasn't much. Just a modest, single-story house in a tidy neighborhood. But to her, it was a triumph. The sun beat down on the well-manicured lawns. Children's laughter echoed faintly, and the faint scent of freshly cut grass filled the air. Her son, Deshawn, hopped out of the car before she could even unbuckle. "Mom, look. They have a basketball hoop." His excitement was infectious, and Erica allowed herself a small smile. This was their fresh start, a place where Deshawn could thrive, and she could finally leave behind the noise of their old life. But fresh starts rarely came easy. She spotted them almost immediately, a couple across the street standing on their pristine porch, their gazes heavy and unwelcoming. The woman, her blonde hair styled into an immaculate bob, whispered something to the man, who glanced at Erica's car, a 10-year-old Honda with faded paint. Erica felt the weight of their stares but busied herself unloading the boxes from the trunk, refusing to acknowledge them. Inside, the house was warm and inviting in its simplicity. "It's perfect, Mum," Deshawn said, dropping his bag in the middle of the living room. Erica ruffled his hair. "It's ours," she replied. Later that evening, while unpacking, Erica heard the unmistakable sound of a doorbell. Opening the door, she was greeted by the blonde woman from across the street, her smile strained. "Hi, I'm Brenda Henderson," the woman said, extending a manicured hand. "We live right over there." She gestured to the large two-story house adorned with columns and decorative stone. "I'm Erica. Nice to meet you," Erica replied, shaking Brenda's hand. "Welcome to the neighborhood," Brenda continued, her eyes flickering over Erica's outfit, a simple t-shirt and jeans. "We're having a homeowners association meeting tomorrow. You might want to come. It's good to stay involved." The implication was clear. Brenda wasn't inviting Erica, she was sizing her up. Erica nodded politely, but as Brenda walked away, she felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The meeting the next day was even worse. Erica entered the Hendersons' sprawling living room, feeling immediately out of place among the crystal chandeliers and designer furniture. Conversations hushed as she walked in, every eye turning her way. Brenda introduced her with a smile that barely touched her lips, and the introductions quickly gave way to passive-aggressive comments about property values and keeping the neighborhood safe. Erica sat silently, her face a mask of composure, but the words stung. By the end of the evening it was clear. She wasn't one of them, and they didn't want her there. But Erica wasn't one to back down easily. She had faced harder battles before, and this was just another challenge. But the Hendersons weren't finished, and neither was Erica's determination to prove she belonged. Weeks passed, and the subtle hostility from the Hendersons turned into a steady stream of obstacles. Brenda always seemed to have a comment at the ready, disguised as helpful advice. "You might want to trim those hedges, Erica," Brenda said one afternoon, her voice syrupy sweet. "The HOA is very particular about appearances." Erica nodded, biting her tongue. She'd already spent her weekend fixing the backyard, but the list of recommendations from Brenda seemed endless. It wasn't just Brenda, though. At the school drop-off, Erica often noticed other parents avoiding her gaze. Her son, Deshawn, mentioned that some of the kids had started teasing him about his shoes not being cool enough. It wasn't lost on Erica where those ideas were coming from. Children parroted what they heard at home. The final straw came during the neighborhood block party. Erica had spent the week baking her mother's famous cornbread to bring as her contribution. It was her way of trying to connect, of showing a piece of herself. But when she arrived at the long table filled with gourmet dishes and catered platters, her cornbread sat untouched. She overheard whispers. "I mean, who even eats that?" one woman snickered, glancing her way. Brenda gave her an apologetic shrug, but said nothing. Deshawn noticed too. "It's okay, Mum," he said, tugging her sleeve. "Let's just go." Erica's heart ached as she packed up the untouched dish. But what hurt the most wasn't the snubs or the whispers. It was the impact on Deshawn. He had started coming home quieter, more withdrawn. Erica caught him once, trying to scrub a grass stain off his sneakers with tears in his eyes. "I just want them to like me," he mumbled. Her resolve hardened. Erica knew she couldn't let them break her spirit, or her son's. She doubled down on her efforts, keeping her head high despite the constant microaggressions. She joined the PTA, volunteered at school events, and greeted every sideways glance with a genuine smile. Still, the Hendersons found ways to make her life difficult. Brenda organized a neighborhood petition to enforce stricter HOA rules that seemed tailor-made to target Erica's modest home. A new mandate required homeowners to install uniform fencing, a costly addition Erica couldn't afford just yet. Then came the car. Erica's reliable Honda, though old, had been her lifeline for years. One morning she found a note taped to the windshield. "This eyesore doesn't belong here." It was unsigned, but Erica didn't need to guess. She looked across the street and saw Brenda standing on her porch, sipping her coffee, pretending not to notice. Erica didn't cry. Instead, she channeled her frustration into action. She picked up extra shifts at work, saved every dollar she could, and slowly but surely began making the upgrades demanded by the HOA. The new fence went up, and her car, though still old, gleamed after a weekend of cleaning and minor repairs. But Erica's quiet resilience only seemed to provoke Brenda further, setting the stage for a confrontation that would change everything. Despite the mounting challenges, Erica's perseverance began to pay off. She had always been resourceful, but now she was unstoppable. Every insult, every obstacle the Hendersons threw her way, fueled her determination to build a better life, not just for her son, but for herself. At work, Erica started saying yes to opportunities she had once hesitated to pursue. When her manager mentioned a new project that required someone with creative problem-solving skills, Erica volunteered. She poured herself into the assignment, staying up late after putting Deshawn to bed, perfecting every detail. Her efforts didn't go unnoticed. Within months she was promoted, earning a salary that allowed her to breathe a little easier. Her newfound confidence extended beyond work. Erica began taking online courses in the evenings, focusing on business management. The small class gave her the skills she needed to turn her side passion, making natural skincare products, into a small online business. Orders trickled in at first, but soon grew into a steady stream. Erica used the extra income to pay off debts and invest in her home. Her transformation didn't go unnoticed in the neighborhood either. Brenda and her circle of friends still whispered, but their dismissive glances began to falter. Erica's home, once a problem, now boasted a freshly painted exterior, a thriving garden, and a brand new car in the driveway. The kids at school stopped teasing Deshawn when he showed up with a new pair of sneakers, bought with Erica's first big paycheck from her business. One afternoon, Deshawn came home beaming. "Mom, Coach said I'm going to be starting point guard next game." Erica hugged him tight, feeling a surge of pride. Her son was thriving, and she was finally seeing the fruits of her labor. But the most satisfying moment came during a PTA meeting. Erica, now a respected member, proposed a new initiative to support underprivileged students with supplies and after-school programs. The room, filled with the same parents who had once ignored her, erupted in applause. Brenda's smile looked forced as she reluctantly clapped along. Life wasn't perfect, but Erica had carved out her place in the community. Every step forward felt like a victory, not over the Hendersons, but over the doubts they had tried to plant in her mind. But just as Erica began to feel secure, an unexpected crisis would bring the Hendersons' world crashing down, shifting the balance of power in ways no one could have predicted. It started with whispers, whispers that grew into full-blown gossip circulating through the neighborhood. The Hendersons' perfect facade began to crack. Rumors swirled that Tom Henderson's investment firm was under investigation for fraud. The family, known for their extravagant parties and lavish vacations, suddenly became conspicuously absent from social gatherings. Brenda's Instagram, once a highlight reel of their glamorous lives, went silent. Then the reality hit. The Hendersons were losing everything. Their home, the crown jewel of the neighborhood, was quietly listed for sale. The luxury cars disappeared, replaced by an older sedan that seemed so out of place in their driveway. Brenda's carefully curated demeanor began to crumble as she avoided eye contact with neighbors, no longer the queen bee of the block. Erica noticed the shift but kept to herself. She had no intention of reveling in someone else's downfall, even if that someone had gone out of their way to make her life difficult. But the irony wasn't lost on her. One evening, as Erica watered her garden, Brenda hesitantly approached her fence. Gone was the polished, self-assured woman who had once lorded over HOA meetings. Brenda looked exhausted, her eyes rimmed with dark circles. "Erica," she began, her voice wavering. I was wondering if we could talk." Erica turned off the hose, setting it down before meeting Brenda's gaze. "What's on your mind?" Brenda hesitated, wringing her hands. "I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but Tom and I are in a tough spot. His firm, well, there's been a lot of complications, and we're trying to start over." Erica nodded slowly, waiting for her to continue. "We heard about your business," Brenda said, her words tumbling out in a rush. "How you've been growing it. You're doing amazing things, Erica. I was wondering if you'd consider partnering with us. We could help you expand. I have contacts. Well, I used to, and—" Her voice trailed off as Erica folded her arms across her chest. The audacity of the request wasn't lost on her, but she couldn't deny the desperation in Brenda's eyes. "Partner with you?" Erica asked, her tone calm but firm. "After everything?" Brenda's face flushed. "I know we weren't kind to you. I regret that. I do. We're trying to make things right. Please." For a moment, Erica said nothing, her mind swirling with memories of the past, the whispers, the notes, the judgment. But she also saw Brenda now, stripped of her armor, humbled by circumstance. But Erica wasn't ready to give her answer, not yet. She needed time to decide what this moment meant. Not just for Brenda, but for herself. Erica spent the night replaying Brenda's words in her mind. The memories of those years filled with disdain and whispers resurfaced. But so did something else. The lessons she'd tried to teach to Sean about grace and strength. What kind of example would she set if she acted out of spite now? The next morning, Erica invited Brenda over for coffee. Brenda arrived, noticeably uncomfortable in her plain blouse and jeans, a stark contrast to her usual designer wardrobe. Erica gestured for her to sit, pouring 2 steaming cups. "Before we talk business," Erica began, "I need to know something. Why now? Why come to me, Brenda?" Brenda looked down, her hands trembling slightly around the mug. "Because I was wrong," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I judged you unfairly, Erica. I thought your struggles made you less than us. But now I know how it feels to be looked at like you don't belong. It's a hard pill to swallow." Erica let the words hang in the air, feeling a mix of validation and empathy. It would have been easy to shut Brenda out, to refuse her out of anger. But Erica had learned long ago that holding on to bitterness only weighed you down. "I've built my business from the ground up," Erica said finally, "without anyone's help. And while I appreciate your offer, Brenda, I don't need a partner. What I do need is honesty. If you're serious about making things right, it starts with being genuine, not just with me, but with yourself." Brenda nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. I don't deserve your kindness, but thank you. Truly. The conversation ended there, but something shifted between them. Brenda began attending community events not as a leader, but as a volunteer, helping out wherever she could. The walls between them started to dissolve, not through grand gestures, but through small acts of humility and respect. Months later, Deshawn came home from school with exciting news. "Mom, guess what? They're adding a new basketball court at the rec center. Mrs. Henderson helped raise the money for it." Erica smiled, knowing that change often starts in the most unexpected places. Brenda and her family were far from perfect, but they were trying, and that mattered. In the end, Erica chose forgiveness. Not because Brenda deserved it, but because Erica refused to let the past define her. Her strength wasn't in what she endured, but in how she chose to rise above it. And that was the lesson she hoped others would take from her story. That resilience isn't just about surviving, but about thriving with dignity and grace. Sometimes the greatest victory is choosing to let go of the pain and lead with compassion. What would you do in Erica's shoes? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that make you think, reflect, and grow.